Have you ever stared into yourself long enough that you didn't recognize what you saw? Not your reflection, but something beneath it. A storm of doubt, a scream you couldn't explain, a heaviness that logic couldn't fix. Have you ever felt like the world kept turning, but you had stopped inside? If you have, you're not alone. And you're not broken. You're standing at the edge of something that Friedrich Nietzsche called the abyss. This isn't just darkness. It's the moment where meaning collapses and your old beliefs stop working, where the pain you feel is too big for words and too deep for advice. But here's what Nietzsche knew and what so few people ever dare to tell you. This pain is not your enemy. It is your initiation. Because sometimes, to become more than you are, you must first fall apart. This is not motivational fluff. This is philosophy carved from blood. This is Nietzsche, raw, unsanitized, and absolutely essential for surviving the spiritual collapse of the modern world. He wrote for people who were hurting, people who were questioning, people like you. This is not a video about how to be happy. It's a video about how to be strong. Let's begin. Nietzsche's entire life was marked by pain, physical agony, loneliness, misunderstanding. He was exiled from the intellectual circles of his time, mocked, ignored, dismissed as mad. And yet, in that isolation, he wrote some of the most powerful philosophy the world has ever known. But why did he focus so much on suffering? Because Nietzsche believed that suffering was not just inevitable, it was necessary. He saw life as a process of constant becoming, not comfort, not safety, not happiness, but transformation. And transformation always involves pain. Have you ever outgrown a version of yourself? Have you ever looked back at a part of your past and thought, I didn't die, but something in me did? Have you ever suffered something that, years later, you realize shaped you? Nietzsche saw that we are not born finished. We are works in progress, living sculptures being carved by the hammer of experience. And it hurts, but that's what makes it real. He wrote, one must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. Read that again. The star, the brightness, the greatness, it only comes from chaos. We're told to avoid pain. Distract yourself, numb it, escape. But Nietzsche calls you to do the opposite. He says, go into it, face the thing you fear, stand before the abyss. Because that abyss, it's not a monster, it's a mirror. It shows you what you've denied, what you've buried, what you could become if you dare to confront what's inside. And this is where Nietzsche's most terrifying and liberating insight comes in. He said, he who fights with monsters should be careful, lest he thereby become a monster. And if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. That line has been quoted endlessly, often misunderstood, but here's what it means. You cannot face darkness without being changed by it. You cannot wrestle with suffering without scars. But those scars, they can be sacred. You can let the abyss swallow you, or you can let it shape you. Do you have what it takes to become the Übermensch? The one who creates his own meaning, not because life is easy, but because life is brutal, and still, he chooses to rise. This isn't a fantasy, it's a challenge. Can you suffer well? Can you endure without becoming bitter? Can you walk through the fire and come out with your soul intact? Or even transformed? Nietzsche believed that most people couldn't, that they would flee, that they would choose comfort, mediocrity, and conformity over the terror of freedom. But maybe you're different. Maybe something in you refuses to be average. Maybe you've already stared into the abyss and didn't run. If so, Nietzsche would say, good. That's where your true journey begins. Because when everything crumbles, when all the lies fall away, when the world no longer makes sense, that is when you get to decide what you stand for. Not what they told you to believe, not what the crowd cheers for, not what your fear allows, but what your soul demands. What if everything that's happened to you, all the heartbreak and the failure and the betrayal, illness, even silence, what if none of it was a mistake? What if it was the exact path you were meant to take to become who you are? Would you still hate it? Or could you say, like Nietzsche did, I want nothing to be different? That's amor fati, loving your fate. It's not passive. It's not just accepting what happens. It's making a conscious decision to embrace every part of your life, even the suffering, because it's all part of the story that makes you you. It's the refusal to see life as an enemy. It's the courage to say, this is my story, and I will not trade it. Can you say that? Can you love the parts of your life you once tried to escape? Can you look at your scars and feel pride, not because it didn't hurt, but because you survived? Most people live with regret, but Nietzsche offers a different way. He says you can transform your pain into power. You can turn your scars into wisdom. You can rise from the ashes of your past and become who you were meant to be. That's not positivity, that's power. There's this idea that to be strong, you need to feel no pain, you need to feel no fear, you need to be free from all vulnerability. Well, Nietzsche would have disagreed. Power for Nietzsche is not control over others, it's control over yourself. The ability to choose who you become, even when life is unfair. Especially when life is unfair. So if you've been through hell, Nietzsche wouldn't pity you, he'd challenge you. What will you do with the fire? Will you let it burn you, or will you let it forge you? That choice is yours, and the clock is ticking. Let's talk about the danger of avoiding the fire altogether. Because Nietzsche saw something terrifying in the modern world. The obsession with comfort, the urge to remove all risk, all pain, all difficulty. And what happens to a person or a society that removes suffering? They don't evolve, they decay. He said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." But if you take away someone's why, if you give them all the pleasure without any purpose, they collapse. Have you seen it? People with everything they need, yet nothing to live for. Comfortable, but empty. Entertained, but exhausted. Connected, but alone. This is what Nietzsche feared. Not pain, but numbness. It is the enemy of transformation. It is the enemy of strength. He looked at society and saw that people were being trained to be sheep. Passive, predictable, weak. He called this the last man, a creature that seeks nothing but comfort, avoids all challenge, and loses all depth. Are you becoming that? Are you settling into habits that protect you, but shrink you? Are you turning away from the very thing that could make you powerful? Nietzsche's message was brutal because it was honest. Life will not protect you, so stop trying to be safe. Start trying to be worthy. Worthy of the pain you've survived. Worthy of the strength you've glimpsed. Worthy of the potential you've buried. He believed that true strength is not measured by how much you lived, but how much meaning you can carry. For far too long, you have been copying the values of others. You do what your school taught you. You do what society demands. You do what your parents said. But something is missing. There is a part of you that feels like a stranger in a foreign land. And if you're honest with yourself, you know it's true. You don't really belong here. You don't really fit in. You're not one of them. And they don't want you to become who you truly are. Because becoming who you truly are is a threat to their way of life. It's a challenge to their mediocrity. It's a middle finger to their mass delusion. That's why you feel so alone. That's why you feel so misunderstood. That's why you feel so different. You're different. You see, the problem with the world is that it's full of sheep. They have all been brainwashed to believe that 2 + 2 is equal to 5. And when you refuse to participate in their delusion, they think you're crazy. They think you're the one who's wrong. They think you need help. They think you should just shut up and sit down. But you can't. You won't. Because deep down, you know that you're right. So what do? You forge your own path. You create your own values. You become the one who decides what's right and what's wrong. And in doing so, you become free. That's what Nietzsche meant when he said that values must be created, not copied. You can't just copy the values of others. You must create your own. You must find your own truth. And this is why Nietzsche says that the Übermensch is so terrifying to the herd. He doesn't obey, he doesn't follow, he doesn't fit in. He becomes. And in becoming, he creates his own values. He forges his own path. He becomes his own god. This is why the Übermensch is the ultimate rebel. It's not because he wants to rebel, it's because he must evolve. He outgrows his culture. He outgrows his excuses. He outgrows his past. But most people never do. They stay the same. They stay small. They stay weak. Because they're afraid. Afraid to go against the herd. Afraid to be alone. Afraid to be misunderstood. Afraid to be different. Afraid to be free. Are you one of them? Or are you the Übermensch? The choice is yours. If you want to be loved, stay small, stay weak, stay a slave to your past. But if you want to be free, if you want to be truly alive, then become the Übermensch. Become who you truly are. Burn anyway. Now let's confront Nietzsche's most disturbing idea, the eternal recurrence. He asked, what if you had to live this life? This exact life. Again and again and again. Forever. Every moment. Every mistake. Every heartbreak, over and over. Would you scream in horror? Or would you say, yes, I want this, I choose this? This wasn't just a mind game. It was a measure of how well you were living. If your life isn't worth reliving, then something must change. There are 2 possible responses to this thought experiment. One is to reject it, to dismiss it as absurd, and perhaps that's easy enough. But what if there's truth in it? What if we do have to live our lives over and over again? In fact, what if that's already what's happening? Think about it. We feel as though we're living the same year over and over again. The same problems. The same nonsense. The same people. What if we're stuck in a loop? What if this is hell? Well, then we should want to escape it. Escape from what? From the life we're living now. Because if we can't escape the life we're living now, then we'll be doomed to repeat it eternally. And that's why Nietzsche insisted that we confront this thought experiment head on. He said, "Do you want this life?" And if the answer frightens you, then he wouldn't shame you. He would push you. Because this is not about pretending everything is good. It's about making everything good. It's about creating a life so honest, so powerful, so yours, that you would live it again. Even the agony. Even the losses. Because without them, you would not be you. You would not be whole. You would not be free. And that's why Nietzsche said, "Only that which we can endure makes us into men." This is the test. This is the challenge. This is the abyss. Not a place of despair, but a place of becoming. Can you stand in the face of this idea and say, "Yes, I will carry it all. I will love it all. I will say yes." Not because life is easy, but because life is mine. That's the question. Can you do that? Can you rise every day and say, "Yes, I will carry it all. I will love it all"? There's one more thing Nietzsche knew, something most people ignore. Suffering alone doesn't make you stronger. Pain, by itself, just hurts. Transformation isn't automatic. You must choose to wrestle meaning from your suffering. You must drag purpose out of chaos with your bare hands. That's the real war, and it's fought in silence. When no one's watching, in the decisions you make when no one will praise you, in the questions you ask when the answers hurt too much. Nietzsche didn't offer solutions. He offered a mirror, a brutal, sacred mirror. And when you stand before it, naked and afraid, what do you see? A victim, a survivor, or something else? Something wild, something unbroken, something still becoming. The culture will tell you to avoid that mirror, to wear masks, to stay small. But Nietzsche challenges you to look deeper, always deeper, he says. If you want meaning, you must create it. Nobody's coming to hand it to you. No God, no system, no crowd. That's the terrible beauty of existence, and its freedom. No one is coming, but you are already here, and you can rise, not because the pain stops, but because you stop running. You turn to face the monster, and realize it's wearing your face. That's the beginning of integration, of strength that doesn't deny the shadow, but harnesses it. Because the part of you that's broken, that's where the light gets in. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to become real. And becoming real is messy. It's ugly. It's holy. It means embracing contradictions. It means holding grief in one hand and gratitude in the other. It means carrying your past, but not being chained to it. Can you do that? Can you be your own sculptor? Can you carve yourself from the stone life handed you? This isn't about control. It's about courage, to take responsibility for what you are and what you are not, and still rise, to stare into the abyss and say, "I know who I am becoming, and I choose it." That is Nietzsche's final gift. Not a doctrine, not a system, but a fire. And that fire is now yours. So where do you go from here? I honestly don't know. But if my words helped you get this far, then maybe I can help you for a little bit longer. Nietzsche didn't want followers. He wanted individuals. He wanted people who could stand alone, think alone, suffer alone, and still create. So start small. Write your own values. Speak your own truth. Live one day with full intensity, as if you had to live it forever. And when the abyss calls again, don't run. Walk toward it with open eyes, with a steady hand, with a soul that remembers. The pain is not the end, it is the beginning. And every scar is proof that you are here, that you survived, and that you mattered. Nietzsche said, become who you are, not who you were told to be, not who they expected, but who you are, under the ashes, under the armor, under the noise. Can you hear that call? It's not loud, but it's unshakable. It's the part of you that still believes, that still burns, that still climbs. You are not finished. You are becoming, and when they ask how, you'll tell them, I stared into the abyss, and I built something out of it. This is the rise of the soul. This is the cost of becoming, and you were made for it. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you. Truly. This wasn't just a video. It was a journey, and you walked through every word of it. The abyss we spoke of, you've already faced it just by choosing to reflect, to listen, to feel. Oblivra exists because there are souls like yours who still seek depth in a shallow world. So, stay curious, stay bold, and never stop becoming